Hey everyone, how you doing today? All right, I figured I would do a little bit of different content today. Most recently, been doing a lot of you know political content, and because of COP28, we went into essentially how we're destroying the planet, the only planet that we have to live on. So, figured I'd switch it up a little bit today. One of the four pillars, we have to save all the animals too from us. So let me bring this up over here. What I'm going to do is just going to be like a thought experiment. So I got like this little chart I put together today. I'll throw it up here. We'll take a look at it and we'll just kind of walk through it. And I'll give you the scenario here. Let me pull it up. All right. Hopefully you can see that. All right. So let's see. We'll start here. All right. So like I said, it's a thought experiment. This isn't reality. This is not happening. But you see this in the news a lot. So I figured I would just, kind of cheeky, right? I put this on here. So the scenario we're going to do here, we're going to assume that the aliens just show up, right? The aliens pop up, we'll say tomorrow, whenever. The aliens show up. They're omnivores in this scenario. So they can eat meat, right? Or they can eat vegetables and fruits and seeds and nuts and things like that and leafy greens. Things that they're designed to eat. They're not designed to eat meat. Unfortunately for us, they enjoy the flavor. So that's problematic for us. But they're not actually designed to eat meat. They're designed to eat, like I said, fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, legumes, things like that, leafy greens, all that, grains. But unfortunately for us, they like to eat meat. And really unfortunately for us, they found our planet. So they show up. In this scenario, they're aliens. I guess they're more evolved, we'll say. So they're smarter than we are. I don't know about stronger. They're just smarter. They're just better, at getting us rounded up and enslaved and all that good stuff. So they're superior to us. Like we would think, like, oh, they're superior because they're smarter and they can get over on us and do things to us. So they take advantage. They basically take advantage of us because they're in a better position. They would think, I guess. So here we go. They land, right? They're omnivores. They have the option, but they choose to eat us because they like the way we taste and they like to use us for other things we'll get into here in a second. So let's just start off at the top. The first thing they got to do, right? They just showed up. So they're going to have to appropriate or steal everything. They're going to have to plunder everything first. So let's start off. They start off with the theft, right? So to take advantage of us and take us over and all that and use us, they're going to have to steal everything, basically. The land, the water, the people. So the land, we'll just go through it. And I just threw this together this morning, so it's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. I was just kind of spitballing this morning. But land, so let's say land. They're going to have to, they're going to take everything, right? So they got to take the structures. They're going to do, residential homes, things like that. All the commercial structures, they're going to have to get all of those, right? They're going to take over. This is going to be their shop. So it started off, it was just us, right? It's just us. This is our place. We own it. These are all of our structures and minerals and food sources and all that stuff. It's all ours. But a superior species shows up, the aliens in this scenario, not for real, but in this scenario, the aliens show up. Right, so they want to take it. They got to take everything. They got to take over. Right, this is their shop. It's no longer ours. Their shop. So they get the residential, the commercial buildings, sports complexes, everything, everything you can think of in normal society. They take that over. They're also going to take over any like environmental resources we have, minerals to mine, things like that. Any kind of resources they would need to build things, products, whatever they're going to have us build, because they'll put us to work, right? So whatever they're going to have us build, they'll need the mines and all the resources for that. So they'll take that, and then of course, they have to eat, and we'll say they're like humanoid-like they're similar to us, not exactly, right? They're more evolved, I guess, in this scenario, but they're close enough to us that they can they eat us, right? They can eat our bodies. They can also eat our food products, right? The fruits, the vegetables, nuts, seeds, everything that we're supposed to be eating, that we're designed to eat, they're also designed to eat because they're humanoids, right? They're kind of like us, close enough. So they're going to have to take over all the fruits, the vegetables, nuts, seeds, grains, like all the farmland, everything. They're going to need all that. because they do eat both, right? Like I said, they're designed to be plant eaters, basically, right? Right? Fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, all that stuff. But they enjoy eating us because it's their culture, and they've done it for a long time, and they just like us. They like the flavor, you know, fried up, sautéed, whatever, however you want to think about it. They enjoy eating us, even though they don't have to, but they choose to. And that's because they treat us like commodities, right? So we know that we have souls, right? That we're creations of God. We have souls, we have lives and dreams and aspirations and all kinds of stuff, right? There's things we want to do. We're compassionate and empathetic, right? All of those things that humans are. But to the aliens that show up, we're just commodities, right? We don't matter. They speak a different language. So they don't speak our language, they speak a different language, even though they're humanoids. But so they don't care about us as people. They don't see us as people. They see us as workers and entertainment and, you know, pets, whatever else they want to use us for, right? They just see us as commodities. We're just objects. Essentially, we're objects. We're no longer people. Like, you know, I'm James and I know who I am. And I got family and friends and relatives and connections and all that stuff. But none of that matters to them. To me, they look at me and they're like, that's like object, you know, 100. And, you know, if we cook them, we get this much meat. And, you know, we can make them into this many products, or we can use them for experimentation or breeding or whatever. I'd be ill-equipped for that one, but we'll just keep moving here. Let's keep going. So you get the idea, right? They come in, they got to steal everything, or acquire, appropriate, whatever nice term you want to put on that. They're going to plunder everything. So the structures, the environment, food sources, they're going to have to get all the fresh water too, right? They're humanoid. Water is very, very important to them, which is why they chose this planet to land on and take over. So they're going to need all the fresh water, all the salt water, all the navigable water, everything, right? Everything is theirs. Like, you know, we were here first. They show up. They're way smarter than we are, way better equipped. They don't feel like sharing. We get turned from people into commodities. We don't matter. We're just things, right? To the aliens that land and want to eat us and abuse us and enslave us and all that stuff, we're worth nothing more than like a coffee table, right? Or a car or a house. You know, they're things you can own. They're property. They're objects. You can do whatever you want with them because they don't matter. Even though, like, we have souls and we know it, right? We're breathing. God created us. We have souls. We have things we like to do. We have families and friends and social structures, and we build houses and, you know, all that stuff. We have community, but it doesn't matter, right? Because as soon as they landed, they figured, well, we're smarter and we're stronger or more better equipped, whatever the case may be. So their lives don't matter. And we go from being people, human beings, to being objects. And you can do anything to an object because it's not sentient. It's not a sentient being. It's just an object, right? If you beat up a coffee table or something, or, you know, this, or you beat this up or throw that cup and you break it, you might have wasted some resources and damaged some property, I guess you would say, but it's not sentient, right? If I break this board, it's not going to get upset. It's not going to get mad. You know, his dreams aren't going to get crushed. Nothing like that. A soul's not going to depart from the wood, right? So it's different. But that's how the aliens treat us, right? We're just commodities. We're no longer people. We're just things to be owned. That's the difference. They don't see us as having souls. They see us as just property. So it's interesting, isn't it? It's not true. We do have souls, right? Just like they do. But they don't see it like that. They see us as commodities or objects. And because we're objects, once you're an object and you're just a commodity, you can do anything to an object. To property, you can do anything to property because it's soulless, right? It doesn't have a soul. It doesn't matter. You're not charged from God with murder, right? Or, you know, assault or any other, or theft or anything like that, right? It's an object. So you're taking sin out of the equation because they don't see us as having souls. So when they kill James, they're like, oh, that's just James is like a stupid coffee table. It doesn't matter. He doesn't have a soul. But I do. I do have a soul. And that came from God. So them killing me or enslaving me, that is a serious sin. And God will sort that out in whatever timing God chooses. And I'll be going home, so I'm not too worried about it. But it's still a sin because they're stealing my life and they're harming me, and they shouldn't, right? We're supposed to be benevolent and loving and caring, but they're not. And the reason is because they see me as a commodity, just an object, not something with a soul. So harped on that enough. Let's move on. All right. So they steal the water. You got the fresh water, salt water, navigation, everything. It's all theirs. They take it all. So anything that was living on that water or using that water for transportation, they become subservient to the aliens because it's their shop now, right? It's not ours. People, right? You have to steal the people. They've already stole the water. They stole the land. You got to steal the people too. Otherwise, we're just going to get in the way. And we're just stupid objects. We don't have souls. So it doesn't matter anyway. So they'll enslave us. Probably put us, I guess, like slaughterhouses if they're going to use us for food. The ones they choose for food. We'll probably go to like a slaughterhouse, some kind of like camp maybe. Pets. This is probably your best bet, right? Once they come in, you definitely want to shoot for this position. Pets are awesome. I got Gideon back there. I love him to death. Do anything for him. He's a cool cat. So that's where you want to be. You want to be someone's pet. So probably have to get neutered or spayed and whatever. I should have added that in here, but yeah, you'll probably have to get that so you're more docile or whatever, easier to deal with. But this is what you want to shoot for. You definitely don't want to be food. You don't want to be labor. You don't want to be entertainment. I would definitely recommend you go for pet. If you can somehow finagle it. I don't know if there's a sign-up sheet. Probably not. They're just going to kind of stratify us there, put us in little categories, I guess. I don't know how they'll figure that out. But labor. This is probably not where you want to be. I'm guessing because we're just objects and we're no longer people, we're no longer God's creations, we're soulless objects, we're commodities. I would guess that the labor laws are not going to be great. So whatever kind of labor situation you get put into, I don't think it's going to be like, 4 to 6 hours a day, plenty of breaks and a lunch break and all that. I don't think you're going to have any medical plan or retirement or anything like that. This is probably going to be like a forced labor camp. Think probably like North Korea, labor camp, something like that. It's probably along those lines if I had to guess. Because we're commodities. We're not people. That's the difference. Like once you take a person that's got a soul and then you move it and turn it into a commodity, an object. You can do anything to an object. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. The sins don't count. It's just a stupid object. So once you go into that object category, that commodity, you're just labor, right? You're part of like an equation, right? Like an economics theorem, or right? You're just something. You're something to get used to create something else. You're farming, you're mining, you're doing whatever you have to do, right? But you're just an economics equation at that point. So you don't want to be labor. So definitely push for pet. That's the way to go, I would guess. Like I said, it's a stupid scenario. This isn't going to happen, but it's a thought experience just to get you thinking, and see maybe if there are some parallels to other things in your life. Maybe you can draw from this. So let's see what else we got here. All right. So that's the theft, right? They steal everything. They steal the land, the water, the people. Maybe I missed some other things, but you get the idea, right? Just work with me here. All right. So let's go down now. What else we got? Processing. Okay. So here we go. This is where you get processed. They're going to round everybody up, however they're going to do that. Get you in your categories, male, female, children, however they, get us sorted out there. And we're going to be processed into categories. So probably do it by the sexes, right? You've got males and females. You just got the two. So it's probably the easiest way to do it. So let's see. We're going to go males first, and we'll see what kind of wonderful opportunities we have here. They're humanoid, so they're close enough to our species that I'm sure some organs are the same there. I'm not going to get vile and put some things on here. Use your imagination. But entertainment. So, they could put us in rodeos. They could, have us ride around, or they could ride us, or we could run around and they could like lasso us and do stuff like that. They could put us in races. We could run little races. We could chase like a little bunny rabbit around a track or something. That's possible, right? I can imagine that. Zoos. Depending on how we look or how exotic we are and things like that, from different regions, they could bring in like whatever region you're in. They could bring in people from different regions and put them in a zoo so they seem a little bit more exotic, and you can entertain the aliens, right? They can come and see you and take pictures of you and get little like stuffed animals that look like you, stuff like that. So that's an option, and that might not be too bad, I guess. I mean, you're in prison, so you're going to lose all your freedom and the temperature. I don't know if they're going to care too much about that, but at least they'll feed you, right? Maybe you'll get some medical care, so that's not the worst. I definitely wouldn't want to do races. That sounds horrible. They'll run you to death basically until you're used up, and then I don't know, sell you for food or maybe as a pet once you're all used up. Rodeos, that doesn't sound fun. I wouldn't want that. Getting roped while they're all screaming in circles at you. Ooh, like bullfighting. I forgot to put that on there. Well, I guess fighting is on there. Yes, that technically bullfighting. You could do that. Definitely wouldn't opt for that one. That's going to be a horrific experience for you. They're jabbing those things in you and they just bleed you to death in front of everyone who's like screaming like, yeah, kill them. It's disgusting, isn't it? So I wouldn't, you don't want fighting. Or you're fighting each other. And because we're objectified and we're just objects or commodities to make money off of and things like, or gamble, however they want to do it, I wouldn't do the fighting at all, because you're probably going to get beat to death. I don't know that they'll even stop it, because you're not going to be seen as people with souls. You're just stupid objects to entertain them, right? So you don't want fighting at all. Like I said, shoot for pets. That's probably your best bet. So that's entertainment. I'm sorry if I missed anything. I just threw this together this morning. So, all right, let's go down to labor. I would not sign up for this one. If you have any option at all, definitely steer away from this one, because you're not people anymore. You're not humans. You're not children of God or God's creations, however you want to look at that. You're just a thing, just an object. So construction, you're talking long hours, maybe not much food. They don't want you eating up a lot of resources, right? Because they're omnivores like us. So they're going to be eating the same stuff that we eat. Except for us. We're not going to be, at that point, we'll be vegan, because it'll be cheaper to feed us like that, and we'll stay healthier longer, and we won't be encroaching on their food source, which is going to be the fauna, right? They'll be eating all of that we used to eat. So they'll be eating the fauna, and then the flora too, right? They'll be eating everything. So we'll be vegan at that point. So that's the good news. We're all vegan. We're just enslaved and abused as objects, but at least we all got vegan eventually. Construction, like I said, don't sign up for that one. Probably no medical plan there. Long hours, work you to death. Think of like probably something like one of those camps, like a mineral resource camp or something in Africa, where they use like child labor and slave labor and stuff like that, and they pay them almost nothing, and they kind of kill themselves in the mines, and the safety precautions aren't very good at all. So, they probably get all kinds of diseases and cancers and things like that just from getting all those minerals and stuff in their body. And whatever chemicals they use for extraction, I'm sure that's not, good or healthy either. So wouldn't go for that one. Farming, that's nice. We do have farmers today. So maybe, whoever's farming today, this is probably how you're going to get shoehorned in. So farming might be a good bet. The hours aren't going to be great, and be tired. I don't think they'll feed us a lot. But at least we'll be eating like a vegan meal. So we'll be healthy. We'll have all the nutrition we need. And it'll be cheap to feed us that way. It won't cost them much. So they'll definitely go that route. So maybe farming won't be that bad, aside from the hours and back-breaking work and things like that. Resource extraction, like I said, the mines, like over in Africa and places like that, it's probably going to be horrific. You can do it as long as you can, I guess, until you keel over. I would avoid that one if you can. That's probably going to be rough. A lot of manual labor there. Transportation. So they're humanoids. I guess they'll be like our size, or maybe even a little smaller, So they could ride us around, saddle us up, ride us around. We're just stupid objects. It doesn't matter. We don't have a soul at that point. I mean, we do, but they're not going to see it that way. So to them, it doesn't matter. So they could ride us around. We could pull rickshaws. We could like paddle them around in canoes. I don't know. I mean, use your imagination, but they could use us for transport. I mean, we could definitely be drivers for them, I guess. And the vehicles that we'll build for them, we could be their drivers too, or they could just ride us around, or we could pull carts and things like that. Security or enforcement, yeah. They'll probably, just like slavery, right? They'll probably use slaves as like enforcers or I don't know what term you would use for that, but like a higher up of the slaves to like manage the slaves, something like that. To do like enforcement, how horrible would that be, right? You're enslaved with the rest of us, but you're going to take like an elevated position and maybe get like a few more privileges, a little bit more vegetables and fruits and seeds and nuts and things like that. You'll get a bit more of that, maybe like a little bit nicer sleeping accommodations. But then you'll have to actually be the whip, right? You'll be cracking the whip and using the baton and stuff against the other slaves, which are actually, your co-humans or whatever term you'd like to use. And this is just for the males, right? And then food, right? Like I said, they're omnivores. So they could eat what they're supposed to eat. Fruits and vegetables, nuts, seeds, legumes, leafy greens, all that good stuff. But they don't want to because it's their culture. They've been eating humans or humanoids, right, for a while. They like meat, right? The muscle and fat and gristle and bone. They like all that. So they'll be eating us. And I wouldn't sign up for this one. If you can avoid it, I mean, I would take any of these over this. Construction, farming, resource, transportation, security. Honestly, I'd pick any of those. Shoot for pet, though. That's your best bet. You could throw me in a rodeo, a race, a zoo. You can fight me, whatever. I'm not signing up for meat. I'm not trying to be someone's T-bone steak or porterhouse or hamburger, chicken wing, whatever you want to think of. Like, I don't want this one. So you definitely want to avoid this one. I don't know if there's a sign-up sheet, probably not. But if there's any way possible, you don't want meat. So your best bet's probably is to be really, really skinny. Because they'll probably, I would guess, take the chunkier people for meat. So if I were you, I would stay nice and trim, which is easy to do on a vegan diet. Just if you're curious. And then you combine that in with fasting, right? I'm down to like one meal a day. So I skip breakfast and I skip lunch. I skip them both. So I skip those. And then I'll have either like a dinner or like a dinner, usually a dinner. Usually I can't make it quite that far. But like I'll have like 20 hours between meals and then I'll eat for like 4 hours. Not 4 hours, but like a 4 hour window. So I'll have like one like decent sized meal. And then I'll have like a snack after that or like a little bit of fruit or something to kind of finish off the evening. But it's mainly just like 1.2 meals, something like that. And it's working out great. I lost 4 pounds the other week. And I'm really not working out. I did like a little exercise bike once or twice, but it's just eating. And it completely changes your whole idea of food. Like I used to eat compulsively. I didn't realize it, but I did. I would eat like breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and I would do it just because. Like, I just woke up, so I'm just going to eat, right? I woke up, so I might as well eat. And I would just get on that food cycle where I'm like eating, and then, my blood sugar rises, then the insulin comes in, and, that tells my body to like store fat. And then I just get on this little sugar roller coaster, and I end up just eating and snacking throughout the day. I was constantly thinking about food. It was all the time. It's weird, but I never realized it before. And I was spending so much money at the grocery store. I was at the grocery store like every other day or every day. It's back when I had a girlfriend. But I think like every day or every other day, we were at the store getting food. And like we were thinking up like, elaborate meals to make and doing all this. Like food was just a big part of my life. I was like a foodie, I guess you would say. So, you're thinking about food, you're planning out food, you're bringing home all these groceries, you're doing all this stuff. But when you fast, and I never would have thought it before. Like I never would have been a faster. But when you start fasting, the first couple of days were a little, it's not the best. It takes a little getting used to. But then once my body got in that rhythm and it's like, all right, I'm not going to eat for 20 hours. I'm going to let my body completely clean out. I'm going to let it do whatever it's supposed to be doing when it's not busy processing all the food I put down. So I'm just going to give it a 20-hour break and let it do its thing. which helps out a lot with sleep too. I found I sleep a lot better. But yeah, that's what I've gotten into. And then like I'm not eating for 4 hours, but that's like my little 4 hour window to eat in, and it's working out great. My food bill is so low. I hardly ever go to the store, and when I do, I walk out of there for like $20, and I could go cheaper than that. It's so easy. And your stomach, I don't know if it shrinks up or if it's just a mental thing, but just your stomach, like it's small. Your whole mind just stops. Instead of like thinking about food all the time, it's like you barely think about food. You go from like, I've heard the term, like you go from like living to eat to just eating to live. And that's what I do. Like I really enjoy the food that I eat, especially after 20 hours. Like it tastes great. I love it, but I'm not in love with it. I really appreciate it for that little meal I have. And I'm full for that meal because my stomach is so used to being like shrunk up. But I'm not in love with food. It doesn't take up a lot of space in my day. Like mentally, I'm just not thinking about food. I'm just like, oh, well, it's been 15 hours. I'll eat again for like 5 hours. So, and and the weight just falls off. I don't want to get into like vanity and stuff. Like I'm not doing it for that. But I know that there's a certain size that we're supposed to be, right? Because they get those little charts, right? And they're like, well, you're like 5'9", 5'10". You should be, this weight. And everyone's always like, oh, that chart's ridiculous. That's so fake. That's not real. But it is. We're just not used to it, especially here in America, because we like to eat. We love to eat here. And, people eat a lot of animals here. That's for sure. But our diet here is pretty awful. It's pretty terrible. I think in a lot of Western countries it is, a lot of affluent places. But just in general, we eat a lot of things we're not supposed to, like, animals, which have souls. The fauna. So, but getting back to the point. So, I don't want to get too off topic here. But I feel a lot better. The weight's coming off. Not that I'm doing it from like a vanity perspective, but healthy. It's healthy for my weight. That's how healthy I should be. So, if you haven't fasted, I would definitely recommend it. Now that I've gotten totally off topic, let's get back to this. So, you don't want to be food. Obviously, you don't want to be food. We're all going to be vegan, so it'll be cheaper to feed us. But for this category, you want to be skinny. So definitely, I would say start fasting now and go vegan. That way you can be nice and trim. You won't have to do any work, honestly. If you want to lose all your weight, don't do it for vanity. That's a sin. Don't be vain, right? Don't be arrogant. But if you want to be a healthy weight for your height and things like that, and you want to be healthy and you want your body to be in good shape so that you don't get chosen as food, right? You don't want to be overweight because it's a bigger meal, right? You'll probably taste delicious, right? You'll probably taste better. Me, I'm going to be all stringy. They're like, I don't want to deal with that guy. Let's put him in the farm or construction or somewhere else. So definitely, go vegan and fast. You put those two together, that's where it's at. That's money. You'll lose weight. You won't even have to try. You don't have to go to the gym. You don't have to do anything, really. You can, you should, right? To stay, I'm not saying the gym, but I'm just saying like to stay active, right? Walking, jogging, whatever works for you. But put those two together, like fasting and vegan, boom, right? You're in good with God at that point. That's where it's at. But let's move on. So that's food. We know you don't want to be that. Apparel. I also would not select this one. That requires you to dye. Unless they're just going to take your hair. I guess it's possible they could just chop your hair off and make coats or hats or socks or something like that. But you definitely don't want this one. And this one probably would come after food. So I'm assuming they would like eat our meat and stuff like that, and bones and eyeballs and tendons. I'm sure they'll find a use for everything like we do for animals. But probably like after food, they would take like all your skin and everything, and they'll find something to do with it. But clothing, shoes, any kind of accessories. Like you ever seen like the rabbit's feet? Maybe they'll have like a lucky human's finger or toe or something like that. I don't know, something like that. Rugs, curtains, right? The skin, you could put that together. You can make blankets, curtains, rugs, whatever, all kinds of stuff. This one, I'm sure a lot of you perverted men out there might sign up for this one, but you could be selected as a breeder. So they're going to need, let's say they invade tomorrow. They got like 8 billion people, but a lot of them are going to die off. They're going to eat a lot of them. They're going to die in these jobs that they'll put them into and experimentation, things like that. So they're going to be our alive rates, whatever you want to call them, like our population is going to decline tremendously because of all these things we're talking about. So if you're selected as a breeder, I don't know how they're going to select for that, like muscular or maybe like overweight people for food, depending on how they look at it. I'm sure some of you perverts would like this, but I doubt they're going to make this like an enjoyable experience for you. Maybe they will. Maybe that's how they'll take care of the security and like, the security folks up there. Yeah, enforcement. Maybe that's like a benefit. I don't know. But more than likely, they'll probably just extract it. So however they extract that out of the males, maybe a probe or some kind of device. I don't want to get, too gory here. I mean, look how they treat animals today. They've got people that extract birthing chemicals from men, however you want to look at that. Manually, maybe. They could manually get that out of there. Maybe a probe to go in there, just suck it out. I don't know. Or maybe some of them, select ones, they let do it the old natural way. I don't know. But they'll probably want to keep the diseases down. So I don't think they would allow that, right? Because they don't want to eat diseased meat or have like those diseases flying around. So it'll probably be like a manual type operation, or maybe like some kind of like glass rod or something, like suction them out of there. I don't know how they're going to do it. But yeah. And experimentation, I'm not signing up for this one either. Medical experimentation, like I said, they're humanoid bodies, so I guess they're close enough to us, like we are with pigs, right? We say like, oh, pigs are kind of close enough to humans. Well, I guess we're close enough to these aliens, so they could do like medical experiments on us and see like what works and what they could maybe take out and transplant into their bodies, or vice versa, or whatever kind of weird medical things you can think of. They're probably going to do that. So I wouldn't sign up for that one. Chemicals or products. Yeah, so that just like we do with animals, right? They're going to have like chemicals that they want to produce for their markets, right? So they can use for them. But they're going to want to see like if it burns your eyeballs out or if it blinds you and things like that. So they'll have to test that on something. And we're just stupid objects, right? We don't have souls. So hold you down, pry your eyes open and try all these chemicals and things, see what burns your eyes out and what causes irritation and what doesn't. Skin irritation, acidic products, basic products, who knows? All of it. Whatever horrible thing you can think of that we do behind closed doors, they're going to do to us. Because, like we treat the animals, they're going to treat us, right? We treat the animals like objects, like they don't have souls and their lives don't matter and God didn't create them, God doesn't love them. That's how we treat them. So the aliens are going to treat us the same way. It's no different. We're just objects, right? Just part of an equation. It's just products in and you create labor out of it, whatever. So just objects. Experimentation on products. So I should have taken that off. It's actually chemicals and then products, but like finished products, eyeliner or whatever, stuff they want to use, whatever products they have, they'll test it on us just to see if it works. So toxins, any toxins, like if they want to see if something is toxic to them and our body's close enough to theirs, they can do that. They'll try all the toxins on us. They'll basically just kill us over and over to figure out like, well, what level of this poison or this arsenic or whatever it is can I put in this person to see when they die or when they start twitching or when they go blind, like whatever. So they'll be testing out toxins on us, which will also go into like the weapons category. So any weapons that they have, they want to test out, like the military does today. They'll get like sheep or whatever and they'll put them in a field and drop bombs on them, or I'm assuming like white phosphorus, like whenever they came out with that stuff. I think they used some of that over in Israel recently. And they use it, Russia uses it, other people use it that shouldn't use it. But when they first started testing that out, I doubt they were using prisoners or people. They were probably using like sheep and lambs and all kinds of animals. So probably going to be the same thing with us. So if they take you out to a military base and you're out just walking around in a field and there's like a big circle on the ground, and there's nobody else around you, you would probably run and get out of that circle. Although they could be testing out targeting systems, so they might be trying to do that. I don't know. Either way, you're probably going to die or get maimed or burned or shot or something. Have a laser shot through you. Something bad's going to happen. So military base, middle of nowhere, maybe like a little ring around you or something, you're in trouble. Start praying because you're probably going to die. So that's experimentation. None of those sound good. I wouldn't opt for that one. Entertainment. Oh, this is the females. All right, so that was males. So we're going to switch it over. We're going to do the females now. I'll do it quicker since we've already talked about this, right? Entertainment. Rodeos, races, zoos, fighting. Entertainment. There's humanoids. Like dancing. Various types of dancing. You could put that on there too, along with any other illicit professions that have been around for a long time, which I don't want to put that on here, but use your imagination. So you could put that under the entertainment category. I would definitely not sign up for any of these unless the only other option was meat. Then maybe, or like testing. But yeah, entertainment, no, that's not a good one. Labor for the females, just like the men, this is going to be rough. This is not going to be pleasant. Construction, farming, resource extraction, transportation, right? Think like rickshaw, think, saddles on the back, pedaling them around, whatever. Stuff like that. It's not going to be good driving them. Security enforcement, same thing, right? Probably won't keep the men and the women together unless that's how they decide to breed us, which I doubt they would. They wouldn't be selective enough and probably end up with diseases and things like that. So that's probably not how it's going to play out. Food. That's an absolute no. You don't want this one. So milk. It's females, right? They're pregnant, lactate, things like that. So you could be used for milk. They'll probably get you pregnant, forcefully impregnate you, with tubes or maybe old fashioned, but I seriously doubt it. Probably just tubes or something. So you'll be artificially inseminated. You'll be forced to bring the child, to bear. The child will be taken from you because if you have the child and you have the milk, you run into a problem, right? Because the child takes the milk. So then you can't get the milk out of that equation. So what will happen is she'll be forcibly impregnated. They will take the child, and then the child will be raised in any one of these other professions. Or food, right? Because sometimes I think we eat veal. It's like baby cows, right? So probably the same thing for them. Probably like children taste better, right? In certain ways, or the meat's a different texture. So they could go straight to food, which would, that wouldn't be good. So you could be a breeder. You're definitely going to be, females will definitely have to use them for breeding, for population control, just because they're going to kill a lot of us in the professions and food and things like that. A lot of us are going to die. So they're going to have breeders. But you could just be used for milk. So once you're pregnant and you have the child and they take the child, they could just hook you up on machines, right? And they could just basically extract, hey, stop. They could just extract the milk out of it. Hey, shh. They could just take the milk out. Because like I said, if the baby's latched on there, they can't get the milk because the baby's getting the milk. So you just messed up the whole equation there. They're not getting the milk in that scenario. So the breeders are probably going to be hooked up on machines. And you'll be impregnated over and over and over. So I don't know how many children a female can have, but as many as you can possibly have, that's how many you'll be having until you can no longer have kids. And at that point, they'll put you to some other kind of labor because you won't be useful in that arena, if you will. So you'll be put to labor in some other way until you die off there, or they'll just put you straight to food, depending on their resource allocations that particular month. All right, so you don't want either of these, right? You don't want to be a breeder or a milker or whatever. Look at that. You don't want to be meat. Apparel, same thing as the men, right? You could be clothing, you could be shoes, you could be accessories, right? Lucky human's foot or toe or whatever. You could be earrings or something. Rugs, curtains, etc. For sure, you could be that. Skin, you got a lot of skin on there. You can do a lot of stuff with that. Breeders, you definitely don't want this one. This is not good. Like I said, I seriously doubt it'll be the old-fashioned way. This is probably going to be like, insemination in a cage until you have the child. They steal the child. They milk you until you're out of milk. And then however that works, and then they impregnate you again. You just keep going through that cycle. You just keep getting birthed or birthing over and over and over until you're completely used up. And then they'll either put you in like a labor camp or just kill you and eat you at that point. But, for breeders, if you're selected for that, birthing, right? We just talked about that one. Milking, we talked about that one. I think everyone understands, right? They'll hook you up on machines and just suck it out. They'll keep you alive. They'll give you enough medical care to keep you alive, but that's about it. It's not going to be enjoyable, that's for sure. It's going to be awful. It's going to be, hell on earth, but You know, you know what it looks like. Go look at a dairy farm, so you'll get an idea of what the experience will be like. And childcare, they're going to have a lot of kids because they need them for production, right? You need these resources right here. You need them to use them, right? And we need to be objectified and used for their benefit because they're capitalists. Right? I forgot to mention this. Yeah, these are capitalists. They don't just like us. They're just like us, right? And they want to grow at 3%, exponential growth forever. They have the same game plan we do. So it never stops. They're always going to need more of us. So they're going to have to keep breeding us forever and using us. And that's their political system. So there's nothing you can do about it. It's just the way it is. They like to consume. They don't care about using other species. It's who they are. It's their culture. So unfortunately, there's nothing you can do about it. We're just going to have to take it. So, yeah, childcare, they're going to need a lot of people because of the exponential growth, right? 3%. Every 23 years, it's going to double, and they're going to have more stuff and need more things built. And they'll be breeding also. They'll be growing, and they want to grow their markets. So they're going to need a lot of these products, right? They need a lot of us to build their products and a lot of these resources in our body and nutrients, vitamins and minerals and things that we'll have when they eat us. So it's forever. It's exponential growth forever. So they're going to double every roughly 23 years. So yeah, it's not going to be great. It's going to be awful. And experimentation, the same thing, right? Medical, chemicals, products, toxins, weapons, any kind of experimentation you can think of. This category is awful. This category is awful. This is awful. This is awful. That's awful. That's awful. Let me see. I thought didn't we have one? Yeah, pets. So like I said, you definitely want to go for a pet. That's going to be your best option. Everything else in here is awful. And even pets, you're going to have to probably get like neutered or castrated or spayed, whatever that term is, right? Spay your animals, don't let them breed too much. So if you get in the pet category, yeah, that's probably one you're going to have to deal with. Other than that, probably get treated really well, get treats, get a place like a nice little bed to put up there. I mean, you'll be treated well. It'll be a good life aside from giving up some reproductive, capabilities. Other than that, that's your best bet. Anything else looks awful. So good news is we'll be vegan at that point. Like I said, it's just going to be a lot cheaper to feed us that way, and we'll stay healthier longer, and we'll stay in better shape for working for them. But everything else is horrible. So we lose everything. We lose the land. All the industrial stuff gets knocked down, unless they can reuse it, depending on the size. That all gets taken down. So we lose everything, the land, the water, people. We all get enslaved. Slaughterhouses, labor, or pets. And that's really your best option as a pet. You don't want to be in entertainment. I mean, rodeos, races, zoos, fighting. No, thank you. That sounds horrible. Labor, construction, farming, resource extraction, transportation, security enforcement. Maybe out of those, security enforcement would maybe be slightly better. But you're still a slave. And you're going to be hated by all the rest of us that aren't in your position because you're basically like a slave boss for the slavers, the aliens. So you're the worst of the worst. Everyone hates you. The aliens don't respect you. You're just a stupid object. And your own people hate you because you're a turncoat. So that's probably not good either. Meat, you know how that one ends. It'll be a horrible experience on the farm until they fatten you up enough to kill you. But I guess being on the farm would be the best-ish experience you could have until you're killed, which will be in the prime of your life. It's not going to be when you're 80 years old. Your meat won't taste right. So it'll probably kill you off maybe like 25. I don't even think 30 because it costs too much money, right? Even though they're feeding you, like you'll have a vegan diet, so it'll be cheap and nutritious, but it's still going to cost money. It's going to take time to get those vegetables up, the nuts and seeds and everything. So I don't think they're going to let you live too long. Maybe like 20s, mid 20s, like in the prime of your life, fatten you up and then kill you and eat you. Apparel, right? Obviously, this probably comes after they eat you, right? They save all your body parts and the clothing, shoes, accessories, rugs, curtains, whatever they can think of. And studs for the men's. That's not going to be, you'll You little perverts out there, that's not going to be what you think it is. It's probably going to be something that goes in there and kind of pulls it out. Or maybe they install like some permanent tube that just kind of sucks it out of those, organs there. I don't think it's going to be the old-fashioned way that you're getting all excited about, so calm down. It won't be pleasant. And then experimentation, nobody wants that. That's all horrible. It's all horrible. Entertainment, labor, food, apparel, breeders, especially the women breeders. Ouch. That's going to be horrific. As a man, as the men, and we see these options, at least the men, it won't be that bad, right? Because breeding has got to be the worst of it. You're going to be impregnated over and over and over and have your child stolen every single time until you have birthed so many times that your body is absolutely used up. And your body will refuse to get pregnant again because there's just nothing left. You'll have been birthed to death, basically, while you're stuck on the milking machine. And that cannot feel good. That has to be awful. So that's probably the worst possible existence I can think of. I would probably choose just to go straight to food if that was the only other option as a female. As a male, you'll just have that rod in there or the tubes or however they're going to do it. But a female breeder, no way. What, 9, 10 kids in a lifetime? They start off in your 20s and just sit there and keep you on a milking machine the whole time, and they steal your kid every time. You got to watch your kid get stolen like 9 times, and your kid gets stolen into slavery. Imagine this. Imagine you're one of the breeders, right? A female breeder, and you have a daughter. Let's say you have 4 or 5 daughters, right? You're going to have like 9 kids, right? So you have 4 or 5 daughters, and they get ripped away as soon as they're born or weaned, whenever they do that. And you know that they're either going back into that breeding pool or they're going to be put to labor or food or experimentation or something. Whatever their path, whatever path they take, they're all horrible. None of them are good. Best case scenario is one of your daughters or sons or some of them get taken as pets. That's the best possible option you have. Because if they're not pets, every other option is horrific. So that's it. I don't want to go through it too much longer. I'm not sure how long. Yeah, we're coming up on an hour here. I don't want to make this too long. I want to take up too much of your day. So like I said, I'm not going to put out a ton of videos. I do a lot of my commentary online now. That is actually me. It's not somebody else. That is me. So I've done a lot of political stuff recently and on exponential growth and things like that. That's actually me. No one's faking it. That's me. I'll do videos from time to time when I think about it. I haven't done enough work like on the animal side, I don't think, since I got off Twitter. So I wanted to kind of do something. This just struck me this morning, and I thought maybe I would do this, and it would hopefully make sense to you. I mean, I think you can see, like, there's kind of a parallel here with how the aliens would treat us and how, we treat animals. Hopefully that, I don't think I have to say that. I think you kind of get that. But I just wanted to walk through, like, a potential scenario of aliens landing, right? Omnivores, they could just be vegans and not have to do all of this horrific stuff. Well, maybe some of it. But eating and stuff like that. So most of it they wouldn't have to do. And honestly, think about it. If they were vegans, right? Imagine if they had that mindset that they thought that life is so sacred that you can't take life. Even if you love to eat meat because it's your culture and it's what you know and it's how you grew up. And like you grew up in barbecue stands and eating hot dogs and hamburgers at your sports games, right? Even if all that was true, you got to think, if these aliens were vegan and they could eat meat and they could get some nutrition from it, wouldn't be as good as the plant nutrition, but they could do it. But if they were vegan, you have to think, like with that mindset, they think life is sacred. They value life, right? They know how God thinks. And they know what God would do if God was here in our situation. They know what kind of diet God would have. So you got to think, if they were vegan and they landed, they're probably benevolent. They're probably not the kind of people that are going to enslave people and murder them and test on them and steal all their resources, right? They'll probably just show up and be like, hey, we're here. Hey, we'd like to talk to you, see if we can share information and ideas and land and, figure out like a cooperative. That's probably the mindset they would have if in this scenario they were omnivores where they could eat meat, right? or they could be vegan and eat like plant-based, whatever term you like to use. I know people don't like that term, but okay, plant-based meat eaters or meat exploiters or fauna destroyers, however you want to look at it. But you have to think like if they were vegan, you have to think like they value life. They think life is sacred, just like God, who created all life, thinks life is sacred. So if they have that mindset and they eat like that, and that's how they choose to live, maybe they're fasting too on top of that, right? They're like totally in lock with God. Like they don't want to be gluttons. They don't want to murder. They don't want to hurt things. They don't want to assault people. They want to live in peace and love, right? A plant-based life. So chances are, if they were like a vegan alien breed of some whatever, we're spitballing some things here. Chances are they wouldn't do all of this enslavement and theft and things like that, because people that do stuff like that are the kind of people that exploit animals and murder them and enslave them, kill them, use them for entertainment, use them for labor, use them for food, apparel, use them as breeders for experimentation, right? Pretty much if they're vegan, they're not going to do any of that. So you're probably not going to get enslaved because they're probably really nice beings. They're sentient beings just like we are and just like the animals are. So chances are, hopefully, if these aliens land, you better pray to God that they're nothing like us.